Hello everybody and welcome to the channel. It's Paulie ESTHER here. This is my second YouTube channel called Paulie Pops, where I make videos about my hobby of collecting these Funko Pop figures you see here behind me. Well, on the weekend my wife wanted to go get some maple syrup. Some of that good old traditional Canadian maple syrup. She wanted to go down to the market. And it just so happened that I was scrolling through my phone, looking on Kijiji, that's Canada's version of Craigslist, for some local Funko Pops, as I do. And I saw that there was an ad of a fella who was set up at the farmer's market where my wife wanted to go get some maple syrup. So I took a look at this picture here of the market, and I noticed that they had some Funko Pops here, and I couldn't really make out the prices, but I did see a couple of figures that I wanted. And I said, "Hey, hon, I'll go down to the market with you." And she's like, "Why?" And I said, "Well, this fella has a booth here of Funko Pops." And she said, "So you want to go down to the market just based on 24 Funko Pops in a picture here?" And I said, "That's right." So she said, "Fine, come on, let's go." So we went, and I did, I couldn't make out the prices, but I did see a couple figures there that I needed. My baseball mascots, so I said I'm going down there, and then if the prices are too exorbitant, then I'll still have had a nice drive to the farmer's market with my wife and spend the day with my family, right? So we went down there, and I found the fella's booth, and I found a couple of the baseball mascot pops, and then he said, "I have some more under the counter, by the way." And I said, "Oh, okay." So what I didn't realize is that from that picture, I could see that there was some that I needed, but I didn't realize that what he had was Series 1 baseball mascots. So the baseball mascots originally came out in, I think, 2015, 2014, 2014. And they were popular, right? So they released a second wave, and typically what they did with these pops is they changed the jersey colors. Like, they remade them, but they changed them from either home team jersey to away or vice versa. So I got in the game very much later than this, so I don't have any of the Series 1 baseball mascots. So I thought, oh boy, he's got the Series 1s. So I had to kind of limit myself what I was going to get, because I didn't want to go crazy and tell my wife that I dropped an exorbitant amount of money here at the farmer's market on what was supposed to be a simple maple syrup trip. So I looked up the values on the pop price guide to figure out which ones had the biggest margin and what I needed for my collection. So we'll just go ahead and get started. But first, we're going to show you a couple pops that aren't baseball mascots that I really wanted to get. So he had, these are from 2015, he had Shaun of the Dead. Now, there are some bloody versions of these that are a little bit more money, more rare, but I don't even have the basics. And I really like my horror set, even though this is like comedy horror. So I wanted to get these for my horror collection. So there's Shaun of the Dead, there's Shaun, and he also had Ed. So I was like, well, this is great. He's got both of them here at once. So I'm going to grab them both. Oh, and he also told me if I buy several figures, he'd give me a deal. And honestly, his prices were already very reasonable and underpriced. And so I just picked up a bunch of the stuff that I had the most margins on. Shaun and Ed are worth about $50 a piece. So we got those, and then we got into the baseball figures here. So first one here is the mascot for the San Diego Padres. This is the Swinging Friar. So now they did remake the Friar, but he has the bat like over his shoulder with just one hand on the bat. So this was the first version, the Swinging Friar for the San Diego Padres here. And on the back, it shows you the whole series of mascots from Wave 1. Wave 2, it just has a list of all of the mascot names, no real box art on it. San Diego Padres, Swinging Friar. So let's see, did he have all of these? Yep, he had every single one pictured here. But the Philly Fanatic I left because it had box damage. And, well, I don't want to show you everything that I left. Let me just show you what I got, and then we'll talk about it at the end. Next, we got Wally the Green Monster. This is one that I have in the alternate jersey. I think he has the Red Sox jersey on the remake. So this is the original in the white Red Sox jersey. Wally the Green Monster for the Boston Red Sox. And then I got Orbit from the Houston Astros. Again, this was remade, and I think the alternate one has an orange jersey. I don't think it's a white jersey. This is Orbit, the mascot for the Houston Astros. Very cute. Oh, there's Orbit on the back here. Let me see. What does Wally look like on the back of this one? I think like they would have had to pay somebody to do the art for this. So, you know, it's a little crude. It's not the best art you've ever seen, but they still would have had to like spend labor on it or pay somebody for this art. So the new ones just have a list of characters, right? So the second wave is very different. And then finally, this was the most valuable one, and this was the one that made me want to go to the market in the first place, was Mr. Met. Now, I knew Mr. Met was a valuable figure and that I needed it for my baseball mascot set. I don't even have the second version of this one, like Wally the Green Monster and Orbit. I already have those. I picked those up in Niagara Falls a couple years ago. But I don't have any Mr. Met, and I know the Mr. Met is expensive no matter what version you have of him. And I thought I was going down to get the blue jersey, the re-release, but this is the pinstripe white home jersey for the Mets, for Mr. Met, New York Mets. So this was like, oh, okay, I'm spending some money here today as soon as I saw this. So all told, all 6 of these figures, the Pop Price Guide value is $350. Mr. Met is the most expensive one at $105. And I spent, I more than doubled up. I spent less than $175 on the whole thing. It's like between $160, $175, depending on your Canadian conversion rates. But I more than doubled up here on this, on the 6 figures that are booking at $350 for the batch. So I'm pretty happy I went down to the market. I don't know how happy my wife was when she saw how much I was spending, but basically, what's the second most valuable figure? Is it Wally? Let me look real quick here. Wally's 45, Orbit. So Orbit and Mr. Met are worth about how much I paid for everything. So it was a successful trip to the market. Very happy to get these in my mascot collection. I love having these mascots. I'm not big on collecting the actual athletes. They make a lot of the current stars for the different baseball teams or sports teams in general. But like I did all that with McFarlane figures, and then once they retire, unless they go into the Hall of Fame, nobody really cares about the current players. So like legends, like Magic Johnson, people who have retired and had Hall of Fame careers, those are things that are interesting to me. Babe Ruth, Jackie Robinson, stuff like that. But current players on teams, I just don't really have any interest in at all. But I do like the mascots, because the mascots is like the history of the team. They're never trading away the mascot. The mascot's not retiring. The mascot is forever. So the mascots are cool. So he had all of these. So I left behind the original Mariner Moose, the original Mr. Redlegs, I forget what his name is, for the Cincinnati Reds, and the Philly Fanatic was damaged. So that was the first series, and I got everybody else. So I could have used the Philly Fanatic, but he was damaged and he was kind of pricey. He wanted like $65. There wasn't as much margin on that one, so that was an easy one to leave behind. I think Mr. Redlegs was also like $60 or $70 he had it priced at, and the Moose I have the re-release, so I left those behind. The ones I picked here are the ones I wanted the most and had the most margin. As I said, Orbit and Mr. Met was just a crazy deal for $105, and I think he had it marked at $50, and then he knocked off money off of all of the sticker prices from me buying a whole group of 6. So It was a great deal. Don't know if I'll go down to the market again because like he didn't have a lot of stock, but the stock that he did have was something that was very interesting to me and came out with a big smile on my face from the market. And then we got drunk on maple syrup because that's what we do in Canada. No, I'm just kidding. All right. Thank you so very much for watching. I always appreciate your time that you spend here with me, and we'll see you next time. Have a great day, everybody. Bye-bye.